Welcome back. I want to welcome back Julian Raven. This is the portion of the podcast that's actually on my website, Awakenings in Real Life, where I give you guys the opportunity to learn something about our guests separate from their story, because it's nice to know something about them. So, Julian, you want to share something with the audience?
I do. I want to share. I want to share this great little detail, this wonderful story. When I was coming to the United States, before I left Spain, I met a friend of mine that I knew from school. His name was Leandro at a cafe I was working at. I hadn't seen him in many years, and he walks into the cafe. He's like got this swagger and long hair, and he's like, yo, and he's speaking all like Americanized accent. I was like, where have you been? He says, oh, I've been in America. And he was studying at Stony Brook University in Long Island. I didn't know what that was. It was like, I said, I'm going to America in February. This was Christmas 1997. And he says, well, look, here's my phone number. He says, when you're in New York, give me a call. And I was like, that's great. I got another person maybe to bump into when I go to the U.S. So I was in California. I ended up coming back to the West Coast, the East Coast. My mother was at the time, I'd run out of money. My mother was trying to get me to go back to Spain. She was always plotting how she could get me on the airplane. She's like, I'll pay for your ticket. I'll pay for your ticket tomorrow. I was like, no, I got to stay. I got to stay, Mom. And so she was very reluctant to have me remain in the U.S. It was my destiny to be here. So one day, though, right before she leaves, she goes, come on, let me take you to New York City. And we were staying in Westport, Connecticut at the time. So we get on the train into Grand Central. She pays for my ticket. And on the way in the train, I'd now been in the U.S. It was in June. This was in June of 1996. I'm sorry, the date I gave was 1995 when I met Leandro at Christmas time. So June of 1996, this is now 6 months later. I'm in the U.S. I've been in the U.S. since February, 4 months. I'm with my mother on the train going to Grand Central Station. And I remember meeting Leandro at Christmas time. And I'm like, Mom, I said, because we're in Connecticut, we're going to New York and New York City. To me, it's just one big thing. I don't know. I'm like, we can meet Leandro. We can, and she's like, oh, well, whatever. I had his number and I thought we could call him. We get to New York City. And I see in my mind at that time me bumping into him and seeing him, meeting him. And I then say, Mom, let's just walk around. She said, well, let's go to Central Park. And we walk from Grand Central to Central Park. And we're the skyscrapers, amazing experience, first time in the city. And I forget about calling him. And we're walking, and I get this burden in my heart to say, you know what? I'm going to look for Leandro. And I'm walking down the streets of New York City, Fifth Avenue, from Central Park. My mother's like, we need to stop at Trump Tower to have a cup of coffee. She was a doll. And we walk all the way down Fifth Avenue. There are thousands of people. Middle of June in the summertime is packed with people. I'm scanning faces looking for this kid, Leandro. I completely forgot even to try and call him. After about 4 hours of walking and stopping, my mom's like, my feet hurt, let's get a cab. We were on the way to the World Trade Center at the time. I'm like, no, we've got to keep walking. We've got to keep walking. We keep walking, and we cross over onto Broadway and start going south on Broadway towards Washington Square Park. The crowds dissipate. There's like very few people there. And we see three guys walking towards us, and there's one short guy in the middle, long hair, glasses, and two Rastafarian dudes with like fatigues on, and they had tea cozy hats, and they're like walking like dudes on the street. My mother walks right by them, and I walk straight up to this trio of guys to the guy in the middle, and he's got glasses on, and in his face I said, now that's Leandro. And he froze like this, and he pulls his glasses down, and he's like, Jules! He's like, they'd been smoking pot in Washington Square Park. So they're like, whoa, man, they were all like freaked out in the street. My mother is jumping like a crazy woman in the street in New York City. She's like, I can't believe this. I wasn't that surprised. I'm like, you know what? I've been looking for you all day. And what's amazing about this story is that the phone number he gave me was for Stony Brook University, 3 hours away. And it was June. School had already broken for the summer. He had moved to the East Village to stay for the summer. Now get this. He had married his classmate to get a green card and he was living in an apartment with his fake wife. She was shacked up with her boyfriend in the apartment. He's sleeping on the couch, pretending to be her husband in case the INS turn up at the door. And he calls up his wife and says, I got this friend Julian, can he stay with us? And she's like, sure, he can stay on the other couch. So I end up staying with him because my mom's leaving back to Spain.
Right.
She's like, I'll take you to Spain. I'll pay for your ticket. I'm like, nope. She's like, I'm only giving you $20. She gave me $20. She was really quite mad at me. She was mad that I even wrote about that in the book. But afterwards, I made up. But I said, Mom, it's the truth. You were mad at me, and here's $20. And I went. She dropped me at the train station. It was $20. And this kid Leandro helps me in his apartment on the couch, on the other couch, in his apartment with his wife, his fake wife and her boyfriend in the bed.
That's some story. There's no coincidences with you, Julian.
No, that's remarkable. And
it is
4 months, and he's not even in the place he get. The phone number would have been dead.
Remarkable.
So that's a great story. Glory to God, because God promises to direct the paths of us through those people. We look at our lives and say, well, how do we get God to intervene in our life like this? Well,
Sure.
I gave up everything to pursue him. That's all I want is his work in my life. And so
Gotcha.
those things happen. And I'm just like a cork being driven along a stream. I have no power. What are we? We're just dust. But he does wonderful things, and I give God all the glory, Dan.
I think we should finish it on that note. Again, that's a very interesting story. Your whole experience is fascinating. And I want to thank you again for being a guest on the podcast. And I look forward to hearing what happens next with you.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks, Julian. Take care.